over 90% of HR consultants and fractional HR leaders report that the biggest source of leads comes through referrals. And so we know that referrals are a huge part of growing any HR consulting practice, but referrals are just one type of partnership. And there's a lot of other partnerships that can do more than just send a warm lead your way. And so today we'll be breaking down how to scale your HR consulting practice with partnerships. And some of those partnerships can send you leads, and some of them can send you money. And we will be walking through how that all works and what you can do to start scaling your partnership revenue. So thank you for joining us here today. My name is Dominic. I'm the founder and CEO at Sherlock. We built a platform for HR consultants to grow and manage their consulting businesses. We provide software that allows you to track clients, projects, time tracking, manage schedules, send invoices, and we actually recently decided to launch services, which will be going live in the next month or so. So we've got a lot happening over here, and we're here to support HR consultants on their journey to scaling their practice. And we provide events just like this to help you scale with confidence. Today, we're joined by a good friend of mine, Tiffany. Tiffany and I used to work together for many years, and she's joining us here today. I would love to have you, Tiffany, introduce yourself.
Sure. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Tiffany Hakimianpour. I'm the founder and CEO of a marketing consultancy named T-Shaped. I have worked in the partnerships department for more than 10 years, more recently program-based affiliates and referrals. And I am super happy to be here today with Dominic and discuss this.
Yeah, so Tiffany's being very modest. Tiffany has built partner programs for some of the top HR tech and payroll companies in the world. She's worked with Homebase, Rippling, Bambi HR. So I'm really excited to have Tiffany here today because she is approaching this content as somebody who builds these programs internally for enterprise grade companies. She's going to be sharing some of her insights and tips and tricks for things that you should be aware of as you're considering these programs. So what are we covering today? As we talked about, we'll be taking a look at how to generate revenue through partnerships. First and foremost, why is this a viable strategy for HR consultants? How partnership revenue actually works, top partner categories, best partner programs for HR consultants, and then how to launch and manage your partnerships. All of you joining this call, if you registered before today, you should have received a link to our playbook in your inbox in the 30 minutes leading up to this event. If for some reason you're not seeing the playbook in your inbox, go ahead and scan that QR code. It'll take you to a landing page on our website where you can download this resource automatically. We're going to be providing you a walkthrough of the playbook content. So go ahead and make sure you download that there, and let's get started. So why partner marketing for HR consultants? This is an area of building an HR consulting practice that is incredibly strategic. And first and foremost, HR consulting is a trust-driven business. And it's the trust that goes into building your relationships with clients that make HR consultants uniquely positioned to scale partnership revenue. There's a few different ways in which trust plays a role. So trust is access. You have access to business owners and you get to see parts of their business that they don't typically expose, given your role as an HR advisor. And so you're really close to their operations, and that proximity allows you to spot issues and needs and business frictions that they may be facing. Second, you have trust as influence, right? You're coming into their businesses as an advisor and they pay you for your expertise. And so the recommendations that you bring as an advisor to your clients, they carry way more weight than a generic sales pitch or cold outreach. And so you have a lot of influence for these business owners. And lastly, we have trust as transfer. When you, a trusted advisor, make a recommendation to your clients, that recommendation carries weight. And you're able to make a recommendation, and the recommendations that you make, your clients will take that recommendation and show up to your partners with more trust than they would with someone that didn't come with a recommendation. And so HR consultants are uniquely positioned to engage in really robust and healthy partner ecosystems. Now, a lot of you are already doing this work, and that's important to remember. Think back on the times where a client reaches out to you and says, hey, do you have an HRIS or payroll platform you recommend? Or we're experiencing this issue right now. Do you happen to know an employment attorney we can talk to? Or do you know a benefits broker? And you might get these questions from people who aren't your clients, right? You'll be just at a general networking event and they'll say, oh, you're in HR? Thank God, I have this question about XYZ. And so these questions happen all the time. What we're going to be talking about today is how to operationalize when those requests happen to make sure that every time you make a recommendation, you are monetizing and getting value out of the recommendations you make. So there are two types of partner opportunities: service-based partnerships and program-based partnerships, and they function fairly differently. So service-based partners, these are adjacent service providers who deliver support to clients in complementary ways, right? These are people that are really close to the same audience that you are. They don't have overlapping services. And I think the best example of this would be like a fractional CFO. They're working with the same client. You might even be working with a client who has a fractional CFO. But service-based partnerships are essentially other service providers who you can partner with to share clients. And this is definitely more of a relationship-driven type of partnership. Often you'll find these are informal at first. Maybe you have someone you've worked with before and like, hey, I see you're doing consulting for finance strategy. I'm doing HR. Like if you ever have any clients that ask about HR, let me know. That's usually how these start. You can operationalize those and make them more likely to generate leads. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but the key difference between a service-based partnership and a program-based partnership is that your program-based partnerships, these are going to be primarily vendors. And so these are going to be structured arrangements with platforms and programs, typically with very defined terms, clear payout mechanics, and formal participation requirements. We've actually put together a list of some really awesome programs that you should apply to during this webinar event. Now, common program partners will be HR technology platforms, payroll software, benefits, compliance software vendors. The ideal partner for your business will depend on the type of work that you do, but these are programmatic and these programs are meant to scale. They oftentimes have hundreds or thousands of HR consultants onto the same terms. So we're going to be looking at both of these differently, and you should, because they are going to be doing different things for you. Your service-based partnerships are going to be better for warm inbound referrals. Your program-based partnerships are going to be better for scaling revenue. Now, how do both models work in practice? You can have a service partner and a program partner, and this is something that we're going to see throughout the webinar event, which is having a diverse ecosystem that you can turn to. So for a payroll service partner, maybe there's someone in your network who handles payroll for clients. They're going to be a great support if your client says, hey, I'm at my wit's end, I can't keep running payroll, or we just lost our payroll person. Is there anyone you know who does this service? If that's not you, you should have someone in your network that you can refer them to. That's a very different use case than a client turning to you and saying, hey, we're expanding into an international market, and I'm not sure that our current payroll system is going to support that transition. Do you have a payroll software you would recommend? And so in both cases, it's a single category payroll, but you're getting a different type of request that should lead to a different type of recommendation. And so those are the two different models. I think payroll is a great example, but you can see that split happen for recruiting, benefits. Now, again, they do serve different goals. Your service-based partners are going to be better for inbound referrals and deepening client support. Program-based partners are better for monetization, but the HR consultants who are scaling their practice with partnerships and doing an additional $20,000 to $50,000 per year, they've got a blend of both, and they're making sure that anytime a recommendation happens in their business, whether it's coming from outside in or inside out, there's value creation. Let's go ahead and take a look at how partnership revenue actually works. Tiffany, I'll turn this over to you. Help us understand, what are the mechanics behind this? What do these different terms mean?
Sure. So there are very common reward structures you'll see across many affiliate programs for this program-based partnership. And the first one is very common and typical. It's a fixed payout. So it's a one-time payment tied to a specific outcome or a result. For example, if you refer a prospective client who signs up for a payroll provider service and they end up running payroll, you're promised and delivered a one-time fixed payout. Company can also offer you a commission on that. So the same thing can happen. You can refer a payroll customer, but your reward is a commission, a percentage of that transaction instead of a fixed payout. And then there's also rev share, where it's a percentage of that transaction paid out over time. Then there are some advanced programs like HiBob, which allow you to continue referring, and then you make your way up into their visionary or top tier, where they will actually pass back clients so you can grow your business simultaneously.
Yeah, a lot of different types of rewards. And as you're evaluating any program, you should be looking like, what are the rewards here? Your client referrals also can be a reward for your service-based partners, right? So it's just a matter of like any partnership you have, there is some type of reward in there. And for any of you who do paid marketing, you'll know there is a monetary value for any lead sent your way, right? So whether or not you close the client, the actual lead that you're talking to, there's real money behind that conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes multiple
Yeah.
rewards for one referral. And as far as payout timing goes, you want to keep an eye on this. At first, maybe just, know that different programs have different payout times, but as it starts building up for you as a significant line on one of your revenue streams, then you just want to keep a closer eye, because payouts can come out monthly and quarterly, more times than not, depending on the buyer journey and the sales cycle. There are some enterprise companies that have longer sales cycles, so it will take longer to close and pay you based on that result. And some programs structure it quarterly. So it's just good to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think this is important to remember, because if you're going to be referring a client to an enterprise grade platform, and let's say in January, and they have a 2-month sales cycle, meaning, those conversations start, there's evaluation, there's follow-ups, and then the deal closes, and that program is using a quarterly payout, you can recommend someone in January and not actually see any dollars until April or May. Just to call it out, in case you are relying on this as a form of income, that you need to understand how the actual payments are structured and when these things occur so that you can plan accordingly.
Exactly. And on that note, there are different payout triggers. So say you do refer a client and they sign up, they drop their email into the platform's website, and that doesn't pay you anything. There are triggers along the way that a lot of companies will set up to reward you for referring a valuable client over. For example, a week after, if one of your referrals takes action on the platform and that's valuable to the platform, you'll receive a payout. And that one is a little bit more unseen, but then that same referral a week later can sign up for payroll. You're also promised a flat fee, let's say, for a payroll. And sometimes the program will be generous enough to pay you out down the line for more services tied to that very same first referral. They vary, the programs vary, but they're often very generous.
Yeah, and I think this is just something to keep in mind. Every program has a different trigger. The programs that are optimizing for volume typically have triggers that happen really early in the journey, and the programs that they're optimizing for like lead quality have late stage triggers. So once the sale is made, once someone runs payroll, once they're outside of a refund window. And so just keep in mind what those triggers are, because just sending a lead to your partner doesn't necessarily qualify as a qualifying event. So keep that in mind as you're evaluating those programs. Now, Tiffany, talk to me about the program terms people should know. I would say these are the types of things that are usually in the fine print So it's useful to understand what do these things actually mean and how do they impact the partnerships that you're building.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of programs are customized, and these are true, not always shown up front. One is called attribution window. I touched upon it quickly in the other slide, which is how long a referral is tied back to you, meaning if you refer someone and the attribution window is shorter, like 30 days, that referral, whatever they do in those 30 days, whatever actions they take, those payouts come to you if they happen within that small time frame. There are some programs that are very generous that have up to a year plus attribution windows. So as your client grows their business, adds on additional services, you are still credited for those events and payouts, which is something to look out for. Eligibility rules, you want to make sure that the referral that you're sending meets the eligibility rules. For example, they're US based, they're small businesses, they are, a certain company size with a certain number of employees so that your referral actually qualifies. There are some programs that have minimum thresholds, sometimes 3 referrals, and then you're into the program. And also there are different like tier structures. So maybe it's like, 5 referrals, then you break into the silver or gold tier, et cetera, and qualify for higher payouts. Then there's something called clawbacks, which is more of a tool on the program owner creator side, which allows them to control quality. I think that there are some people that take advantage of affiliate programs that will send a large volume of referrals that are maybe fake or spam. We all know how common that is. And so clawbacks give us the ability to claw back payouts for fraudulent activities.
Mhm. I would say all of you joining this call, I'm sure you would not defraud a partner program, but if you're joining this call and you're thinking about launching your own program for your HR consulting practice, know that fraud is something that can and does happen with referral rewards, and you should have some terms or mechanism in place to detect and say, hey, this was not the activity we thought it was, this is going to be reverted, or you have delayed payouts so that you can identify that before you send the money. So just things to keep in mind. And these are things that you absolutely will see pop up in some of the different programs that you evaluate. Now, partner categories for HR consultants, there are a number of different types of partner categories that you can be playing in. And it's important that you align your partners with adjacent categories to your business. And so what we're going to be showing today are general partner categories that are a great fit for HR consultants. But this whole strategy really depends on looking inwards to ask yourself questions around who is my ideal client? What challenges are they facing? Who are the people around me that can support my clients in complementary ways? And those are really ideal categories for you. So we're going to be looking at building coverage across categories, right? And so you're looking at inbound coverage and outbound coverage. And that means that you have within categories referrals that are coming into you and referrals that come from you out to your partners. And that inbound and outbound coverage is going to provide you with a diverse portfolio where all of your partnership activity is unlocking value. In terms of what makes a partner category worth pursuing, there's 2 things, proximity and signal. And you really need both of these 2 qualities together for a partner category to make sense for your business. So proximity, is this partner close enough to my ideal client? If you're evaluating a partner and they're not actually working with the types of clients that you serve, it's very unlikely that they're going to be a great partner for you. And the next one is signal. You can have a partner that's really close to your ideal clients, but doesn't actually have enough signal. And by signal, I mean, are they able to detect when there's a relevant need for your business? And so I'll give you an example of a partner category. Let's say a commercial real estate agent, right? They're showing properties to business owners all the time. That's proximity. But just because they have close proximity to business owners doesn't mean they're talking about issues that would lead them to say, oh, this is someone who needs HR, right? So that would be a partner with proximity, but without signal. And this is why you want those two things together. When we are evaluating what are the categories that have both proximity and signal, for HR consultants, there's a couple common culprits, right? We see recruiting as a category, payroll, benefits, HR technology, compliance, accounting, insurance, and legal. These are categories that for the average HR consultant who's doing advisory work, these are the categories that are going to have both proximity and signal for your clients. Because these categories are so adjacent to most HR consultants, they're also going to be the most competitive from a partner perspective. And so there are a lot of clients that we work with who are doing outbound outreach to partners. And if you are an HR consultant targeting, talent acquisitions agencies or recruiters, just know that they may have other HR consultants they're already working with. And so these are, yes, great partners, but there is some competition just because they are so proximal. You also want to build coverage within each category. And this is, again, we're building a diverse portfolio of partners. And so when we look at payroll, this is where we want to have our service partner and our program partner, but we also want to have an SMB and an enterprise option. And this is where, again, we're building that diverse portfolio. So if we look on the basis of payroll, maybe you as an HR consultant are working with employers ranging from 25 employees to 500 employees. Your client with 25 employees is not going to need the same support as your client with 500. They're just very different businesses. And because, as Tiffany mentioned, oftentimes partners will have eligibility requirements, you may need different partners to satisfy those two clients. So for payroll, maybe you have a really small client who's like, we need help running payroll. You have a go-to person who does payroll on the side. Versus your larger client, maybe they need a payroll services agency, like a regional or national payroll service, just given the size of their operation. We've got that SMB and that enterprise. For the program partners, if your client is under 100 employees, they're a great fit for Gusto's platform. And we'll talk about their program in a little bit. If they're over 100, they're looking for more of a mid-market to enterprise solution, HiBob might be the way to go. And this is where we've got a lot of coverage within the payroll category. So what you're seeing right here is really strong coverage for a single category. This is what you should do for the other categories that you're planning to target. So payroll, recruiting, benefits, they should have a blended partner ecosystem that looks something like this. Understanding partnership strategy. I know I talked about how those reliable go-to partner categories for HR consultants can be competitive. Partnership strategy comes into play when you think about, well, what are the things that are maybe not so obvious? What are the partners that no other HR consultant is reaching out to? And I'll give you an example of an HR consultant who specializes in working with nonprofits. Nonprofits are a very specific vertical. They have unique challenges from other businesses. And most specifically, their funding comes through grants. And to get that grant funding, they have to work with grant writers. The interesting thing about nonprofits is that oftentimes for them to access local grant funding, they need to prove that they have HR policies and documentation and proof of people operations. That makes grant writers actually both having proximity and signal for HR consultants. And so for an HR consultant who's targeting nonprofits, it might be really strategic for you to go in and meet some local grant writers who can help put you in contact with the nonprofits they're working with. And you could potentially, if you're working with nonprofits who need to work with a grant writer, send clients back their way. Let's go ahead and talk about the best partner programs for HR consultants. This section right here, I would say, is why we created this entire presentation. HR consultants don't really know that they can be making money through partners. And so we actually met with all of the partner teams from the major HR technology, payroll, businesses and asked, what are your partner programs? And I can tell you right now, if you were to visit their websites, they don't advertise their terms and their rewards. You have to dig, or you oftentimes have to apply to get access. The first partner program we're going to be talking about is Gusto. We reviewed all the partner programs that we were able to get in contact with the teams. Gusto, it does come in as our top recommendation, in part because the average HR consultant works with clients around the 50 to 75 employee range, and that's Gusto's sweet spot. The other thing to remember is when you're evaluating a partner program, you're not just looking at the monetary rewards because you're putting your name on a referral. And Gusto has really incredible software. And so from a recommendation perspective, they've got healthy monetization. They've got a platform that you can trust your clients will be in good hands. And their sweet spot is the typical client for you. So for Gusto's program, they offer a 10% monthly recurring revenue share for 12 months. The average deal, they say, is around $150 per year for that referral. But if you are working with a client who's, say, got 68, 70 employees, like the average HR consulting client does, you could be looking at several $100s for that referral. This is a really awesome program. What do you think about this one?
I love the platform, and I think the program is awesome. The platform itself is really easy to use, so you can also trust that the referrals you make here will be very easy. I think the ease of use is great, and the 3 months free is a great promo that you can also hand off to your clients.
Yeah, if you refer a client to Gusto, they will also receive 3 months of free service, which is a value add for your client. And when you see a program that is also incentivizing your client, it does make the referral even easier for you to make. So that's Gusto's program. I'm going to go ahead right now and drop in the chat a link to apply. All of these links are in your playbooks, but I'm dropping into the chat right here. This is a link that you can click and apply to Gusto's program. For all of the programs that we share today, there is no cost to apply. There's oftentimes no requirements for you. And also, none of these programs require exclusivity. And so as you're building out your ecosystem, I'm going to be sharing links. Apply to the programs that feel relevant for you and your clients, because this is an opportunity for you by the end of this session to have a handful of new partners that you can refer clients to. So go ahead and click the link in that chat. It's going to take you to a landing page where you can apply to the program. We're going to be sharing links as we go through all of these slides and share the overview. So the HiBob program. HiBob, I think, is a really impressive program. Tiffany, you mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah.
I think it's an awesome program, and it stands out from the rest.
It does. So HiBob is doing something I didn't see with any of the other programs that we talked to. HiBob has a scaling tiered system, meaning at the start of your partnership journey with them, you can be earning 10% commission on the deals that you source, all the way through 20% commission on the deals that you source. HiBob's sweet spot is 200 to 1,500 employees. So some of the deal sizes that you can send to HiBob, this means you can earn potentially thousands of dollars on the recommendations you make to HiBob. That said, they do have a minimum client size of 100 employees, and I know that that's a little bit higher than the average for HR consultants, and one of the reasons they didn't claim the top spot. But I think that something that makes them very unique from everyone else so far is that once you reach their visionary tier, HiBob will actually send you clients. And this is something that, again, the not other programs are doing. Once you access that visionary tier, they have you eligible to start taking client referrals. So the way that that works is essentially HiBob, given their platform and what they do, it's very robust. They're working with larger companies. Those companies oftentimes need HRIS implementation support. And if that's a service that you offer, HiBob can send those clients your way. Talk to me about that, Tiffany. Like, that's really unique for a partner program.
I think whoever set HiBob's partner program up really took time to think about their sales cycle and how the referrer could get involved and help. So I really love to see it. And if there are clients that are at a minimum of 100 employees and you're in between a couple of programs, you can ask your client or the prospective referral if they plan on growing in the next year or two, because no one really wants to keep moving payroll platforms. So if they're at 100, 110 and they plan to grow, then I think HiBob is a great program to refer to.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a fantastic program for HR consultants to be considering. The next, and again, all of these links are going to be in your playbook, so don't feel like you have to do it in real time. The next program we're going to take a look at here is ADP. I'm sure anyone who's been in HR for 10 minutes will have heard of ADP at this point. So ADP has a very robust partner program, and they have a lot of different opportunities for monetization. I would say, like, out of all of the programs that we saw, this program is probably the most flexible. And so this is where you have a lot of different avenues where, let's say your client has different needs, you can go in and take a look and say, okay, what are the different services that make sense and how do I get them onto the platform there? Tiffany, talk to me about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I love the client rewards. I think businesses change. Sometimes they pivot and they have different needs. So you're rewarded generously for that, which is really nice. The wave setup fees is really great for the referral that you're about to make, as well as the discount. And 3 to 6 months of payroll for free is, I mean, something that you can't beat. And I mean, they've been around for a very long time and they're still in the game. So I think that speaks highly to their platform.
Yeah, I didn't see other programs who had so many different product lines with their own unique rewards. So Deal, Tiffany, when you and I first started working in HR tech together, I had never even heard of Deal. I feel like they just like exploded.
They were just everywhere overnight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Deal is an all-in-one platform for HR, compliance, payroll. They specialize in businesses 1 to 5,000. So they absolutely span the SMB, mid-market to enterprise range. The one thing I would say is that Deal specializes in businesses managing teams across 2 countries. And so this is where, if you're working with a client that's, say, under 5 employees, they're strictly domestic with no international ambitions, Deal would likely not be the partner for them. And this is where, we talk about having a portfolio where you can have different options. Deal is going to be a great option if one of your clients starts talking about international plans or they're dealing with that level of complexity. And it's just something to keep in mind in your back pocket. You hear that? And you say, yes, I've got a platform for you. Their rewards program is very generous. They offer a 20% recurring revenue share off of the first 12 months per referred client. And once you get to a certain point with Deal, you can actually work with their team and structure it where a portion of that referral revenue that you get, you can actually pass off to the client as a discount. So that's up to you. The discounting is a great incentive so that you can get that deal over the line. Deal. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And they probably have a tier program also. There is
Yes.
after a certain amount of referrals, you unlock customized terms, which is also really nice.
Yeah. Now, the next one that we're going to cover here, Tiffany, I'll let you take this one. Tell us about Homebase.
Homebase, it's a company that I work closely with. They're an all-in-one workforce management app. They are first and most an employee scheduling and time tracking app with the ability to add on payroll and different HR services as the team grows. And the difference between Homebase and the other companies on this platform is that it's built for small businesses that pay their employees hourly versus salary. So think of a retail shop, a restaurant owner, someone just really starting up and kind of has that capped employee size and hourly employee in their future. We offer a $250 flat fee for every new payroll customer. And we are ranked on G2 as #1 for ease of use and a lot of other categories, restaurants especially. So you can trust your referral will be in good hands on a very easy to use platform, which also means that your referral payout will be sure to land within the first month. And it is free for clients under 10 employees. So they get employee scheduling, time tracking, And then they can add on payroll and different other upsells and services that you are also rewarded for 400 days down the line. So it's a really generous program, and I think it's a great one.
The 400-day attribution window definitely stands out. I would say not every program is quite so generous with attribution. I was shocked to learn that you can still get that $250 payout even if the client's on a free plan. Like that's wild. So I dropped the link to Homebase in the chat. The next one's a little unique. This is not an HRIS or payroll platform. Checker is a background screening platform that helps your clients run compliant background checks. This is really great for any client who's in the process of doing hiring and needs to run background checks. The rewards program is really fantastic. They offer a $150 flat fee referral for a business background check. So if this is an employment-based background check, it is a $150 payout for that. The other thing, Tiffany, that I thought was so interesting is apparently a lot of people are running background checks on other people. So like not employee background checks, but like dating background checks.
Yeah. And I
Crazy.
sometimes think that's necessary in today's landscape.
It so is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Also, housekeepers. There's so many different use cases.
Sure. Yeah, people that are going to be in the home, home care. So they have a $25 referral payout for individual background checks. And so, I mean, you can be using those links however, but Checker would be a great one to be in your back pocket. And this is the first like sort of step into that portfolio as you start building out other programs. Start applying now. As I mentioned, all of the links are dropped here in the chat. And then you can also access those links whenever you need by scanning the QR code, going into your playbook. Those links are right there in line with the text. Start applying now. Again, there's no fee to apply. There's typically no approval requirements. And once you have the relationship, those programs are going to provide you with links that you can share, discount codes. And what that's going to do for you is the next time you get a client asking you a question around, hey, what payroll should I use? Or hey, what system should I use? Or where can I get a background check? You have something you can share with them that gives you attribution so that you get rewarded for the recommendations that you make. There's a lot of companies that you didn't see on that list, and it's for one of two reasons. One, they didn't respond in time to be included on our list, or two, they don't have a developed program for HR consultants quite yet. And I'll share an example. I talked to the team over at Rippling. They're in the process of building a partner program for HR consultants that'll be live in 2027. And so our team is going to be doing our best to stay on top of all of these programs and terms so that we are a hub for you in terms of getting access to information on how these programs are structured. But again, go apply. I want to spend some time, Tiffany, talking about how to launch and manage partnerships, because there is more than an application process. Talk to me about phase one, building the ecosystem.
Sure. Phase one, start to build your ecosystem. Think about the different clients and their different asks to you, whether it's you hear a lot of payroll requests, accounting requests, and legal requests, and think about those categories, and then reach out to both individual advisors or professionals, fractional, legal consultants or CPAs, and also a bunch of these programs that were in the slides just that we looked at previously, and start to make a list. Make a list, reach out and apply to these program-based partnerships. You'll receive a link, and you'll always be prepared when someone asks you whether you want to refer them to a platform and receive that kind of payout, or is it a service partner that's an individual that you've worked out some kind of structured deal with.
Yeah. So step one, get the partners in place, figure out who you're going to be targeting, start having those conversations. Talk to me about phase two. What do you do next?
Yes. So activating it. So once you have all of these links and all of these connections, what do? You can think about different ways. First, you do not have to wait. You can go ahead and just begin sending referrals. If you take the initiative to make a referral to a client, they'll be more likely to return that favor and kind of get that partnership off the ground. As far as partnership links go, program links, you can create a blog. You can share that link to your referral right in the email. You can post it on LinkedIn. You can, put it in the caption of your YouTube video. Whatever method of growth that you choose for your HR consultancy, you can include that link. And then I would say the service-based partners are probably a little bit more high touch in an email. And I think just leaning into what feels natural to you at first, knowing that it's a skill that you'll build over time, is how I would approach it. For tracking referral activities, every time you apply to a program, you have full transparency and you can see where that referral is in the buyer journey.
Yeah. One thing I'll touch on is that distributing partner program links, you can make referrals to people that are not actively your clients, especially if you have links that you can share. There are people who make all of their annual income off of being affiliates, which is not you, you're HR professionals and you deliver services, but you can make real revenue off of this. And if you have a large audience, either on LinkedIn, newsletter, or people visiting your website and reading your blogs, putting those links where you have traffic means you can be earning revenue from people you never even talked to. So there's a lot of revenue opportunity here. In terms of phase 3, we've got the partners in place. We've activated our partners. How do we maintain this ecosystem?
Yeah. If you start to find or start to reflect on what's happened in the past, let's say the past quarter, you can make adjustments as necessary. So if it feels like, oh, it looks like a lot of small business owners that are just starting up are coming to me, maybe I will look more at adjacent services and build up my partner categories to better serve those. And that's kind of how you can carve your niche. You can schedule monthly, quarterly check-ins. You can always email back a program-based email because it will land the person's inbox who's created it. And if something isn't fruitful, you can always exit and you can always cross that person off your list. But I think what will start to happen is that you'll find one or two partners and programs or service providers that are fruitful, that are working for you, and you can decide that you want to take it to the next level, maybe creating a blog to drive more traffic or finding adjacent categories to support it.
Yeah. I think the main thing is making sure that once this is set up, sometimes partners go quiet, especially if they're service partners. Put in the work, build the relationship, stay top of mind, and you can drive those referrals. Now, the last one I would say is scaling your own program. What are things HR consultants should keep in mind if they want to scale their own program? And remember, this isn't scaling your own warm referrals and doing reciprocal referrals, because if you're an HR consultant, you can monetize inbound referrals. Like you can tell someone, hey, if you send me a client referral and they sign up, I'll give you XYZ amount. It doesn't have to be reciprocal. Talk to me about things they should keep in mind when they choose to do something like that.
Sure. I think knowing your average deal size is really helpful. Say your average deal size is $4,000 and your close rate is around 40%. You have an estimated lead value of 1.6K. Taking 10 to 20% of that and making that your cost per lead is something that is often done. So you know your exact flat fee payout to inbound clients. I would also match rewards to your deal size. If you know that your clients pay you for project-based work on a smaller basis, maybe a flat fee across the board is how you want to work with them. I would say keep the structure simple. Maybe you create a rule for yourself that clients that bring in more revenue or tend to stay on longer have a higher cost per lead. And then project-based work is a little bit of a lower value to you. You assign a simple flat fee and then decide a way to scale that, whether that's through a paid program, a referral. I think once you have those rules and definitions in place, you can comfortably scale with knowing that paying those cost per leads won't eat into your margins or cost you more than you earn.
Yeah. That is something I see HR consultants do, is they try and create a really juicy incentive. And it's so juicy that it's actually eating into the money that they would be making off of these leads. So just something to keep in mind as you think about launching your own program. Make sure these deals are in writing. Make sure that there's a formal agreement so that everyone's on the same page. You don't want any ambiguity because that'll cause friction later. If you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, we have events just like this once per month with incredible people like Tiffany. Tiffany, thank you again. This was so much fun.
Thank you. This was so fun. I wish everyone good luck, and I am happy to also answer any questions after the fact.
Yes, I threw in Tiffany's email into the chat if you have any questions to reach out. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.